Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. I hope you're having a great day, or going to have a great day. Today, Beach Walk Blog number 14 is brought to you from the foggy beach that I am walking on. Not quite the same as always. Down here, it's always a bit different. You never quite know what you're going to get. But it's always a great beach walk nonetheless. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about me. This one was requested by a couple of you guys out there, so I wanted to do this, and I thought it was a good one. I thought it was quite a good one, just to kind of talk to you a little bit about me and my journey and where I've come from and what I've dealt with as far as sporting injuries are concerned, and kind of relate that back to running and the sling method and everything that I've been dealing with through my life and why it's brought me to where I am now. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into anatomy and kinesiology and all that kind of stuff for this one. I'm just going to keep it very superficial, and just to say that over the last probably 10 years, I got to the point where I was in so much pain, probably a little bit more than 10 years, maybe 15 years. I was in so much pain that I was starting to take painkillers on a daily basis, and I know that a lot of runners will be able to relate to that, and I want to kind of talk to you about how being on painkillers is not a great thing for your body. It's also telling you a lot of things about where your body is at that point. If you need to be on daily painkillers and you don't have any disease, any virus or infections or anything, or you haven't just had your teeth pulled out, there's a problem there. You shouldn't need to be on painkillers, and if you're a runner and you're on painkillers and you're taking painkillers to have to go out and run, there's a big problem right there. And for me, it would have turned into a bigger problem if I'd have kept doing what I was doing to get me to that point. Now, something I've spoken about in the past about keep doing what you always do, you'll get what you always got. You've got to make a change to get a change. That's where that comes in, and that's where I really decided that what I was doing was not helping me, and going to see physiotherapists to be told to get stronger was not helping me, and I decided to make a change, and that was about 12 years ago. And basically what I did was I did the exact opposite of everything I was being told to do. I did the exact opposite of everything that I was doing. So I was doing strength training to get stronger. I was doing stretching and flexibility work to get more flexible, and none of it was really helping me. And every time I'd go and see a professional, a physiotherapist or a physical therapist or a chiropractor or a podiatrist or whatever, they'd all tell me the same thing, which was to get stronger, to work on my core, and to become more flexible. Now, here's my backstory. So I started gymnastics at the age of probably about 4 years old. So I started with all the gymnastics, stretching and strengthening in gymnastics classes 3, 4, 5 times a week. So I was already flexible, I was already strong, I already had good core strength, because I was doing all that stuff in gymnastics. And then through my sort of early teens, late, maybe 11, 12 years old, I had incredible shin pains, and it was put down to growing pains, whatever that is. And I was told, oh, don't worry, when you grow up and you get older, you won't be in that pain. Well, that was wrong. That carried on. My shin pain continued, my back pain continued, my hip pain continued, that became neck pain, and on a daily basis it was just not very nice. It was just kind of a bit living with that on a daily basis. Just want to show you what's going on out here. It's pretty cool, isn't it? All these birds out there on a super low tide. So I was living with that on a daily basis, and things were just gradually getting worse. And every day I'd just be in this blur kind of pain, and it was, I could describe where it was coming from, but it was also coming from so many places and affecting me in a global sense all over my body. And it just made me tired, lethargic, and just generally not particularly nice to be around. So I started work in the City of London when I was 19. I used to get the train into St Paul's, and I'd get off the train, off the underground, and I'd walk up the stairs. And by the time I got to the top of the stairs, my shins were in agony. So I'd have to stop and stretch them, because that's what I was told to do. And I'd try and stretch them out, and I'd try and massage them. And then I'd have to walk maybe less than half a mile to my office. And that walk every day was horrible. The pain in my shins was awful. And I went to see a podiatrist, and I got given orthotic inserts to put in my shoes, and it made zero difference. Didn't help me one bit. And after I had put those orthotic inserts in, I started to develop even more pain in different places. Now, whether that was to do with those orthotics or not, I can't say, but it probably contributed to it, and it probably didn't help it. I then had knee pain, and the back pain carried on. Lower back pain, I would go to see my physio, and I'd have ultrasound done on my back, which did nothing. I was told that I needed to work on my flexibility more. So at that point, I would obviously, as a gymnast, I would fold myself over, put my head between my knees, and put my hands flat on the ground without bending my knees, and say, okay, great, how much flexibility do I need to not be in pain? And they'd kind of give me this blank look and shrug the shoulders and go, well, you just need to be more flexible. And I would say, well, how? How do I get more flexibility than what I have? So I'd started to ask those questions when I was about 20, 21. I'm now 45. And I'm now basically pain-free all day, every day. But I started to question things after however many years of being in pain and getting the same exact advice and going through all the different channels of treatments and therapies and orthotics and all of that stuff. And it got to a point where I just was like, well, how much more strength do I need? So, and how much more flexibility do I need? And how much more core strength do I need in order to be out of pain? Because I know there's a lot of people out there, and I knew that there was a lot of people out there when I was in all this pain, being as flexible and as strong as I was, and with the core strength that I had. I knew that there was lots of people out there who were nowhere near as flexible as me, nowhere near as strong as me, and with nowhere near as much core strength as me, who were not in pain. So my question was, how much of each one do I need in order to not be in pain? And I couldn't get an answer. So I'm thinking, well, these people should know this. If they're telling me to get stronger, get more core strength, and get more flexibility, well, there must be a measure of how much of those three things it takes in order to be out of pain, right? That would sound logical. You know, if I want to go and buy a house and the house costs $1 million, then I know that I need $1 million to buy that house. And if I don't have $1 million, I can't buy the house. It would just kind of rationally just make logical sense to me that if they're telling me that I need more flexibility and more strength and more core strength, then how much do I need to be pain-free? And I got the blank stare and the shrug of the shoulders, and I don't know. I've never been asked that question before. So that was kind of where my journey of questioning and not really getting answers that were good enough for me, that's where it came from. So I didn't get the answers that I wanted, and I started to then
want answers and more answers and logical explanations for what wasn't happening. What was I missing? What was I missing? What were they missing? What were they missing? Why wasn't I getting out of pain? Now, I then, when I was 25, 26, I decided that I was going to further myself as a personal trainer. I'd already studied with the World Amateur Bodybuilding Association as an Olympic weightlifting instructor when I was 18. I got that certification when I was 18. So I was already doing strength training from an Olympic lifting standpoint when I was 18 and 19, 20, 21 to get stronger, because strength fixes everything, right? Well, no, it doesn't. Strength doesn't fix everything. Arbitrary strength fixes arbitrary situations. Specific strength fixes specific situations. So I know that now, and I know how my body has changed and benefited from the things that I'm doing. So I started furthering myself as a personal trainer to gain more knowledge. I did the Premier Certified Personal Trainer certification. I did their sports massage diploma. And then after that, I did the NASM CPT Expert, which is Certified Personal Trainer. It's the corrective exercise specialist, and also the speed, agility and quickness SAQ coach as well. So there's multiple parts of that. I then did more on the sports massage side of things, studied anatomy trains and Pilates instructor, much more other things that I won't bother going into all of the different things I've done, but I kept coming up with the same questions because nothing was helping me. I wasn't getting out of pain. So why wasn't I getting out of pain? Why was I in pain? And once I studied the anatomy trains and I understood more about the fascial system and the way that fascia works and how it's densely nerve innervated, a few little things started to kind of fall into place. And looking at how the body moves and how it's made in order to do its or perform its priorities in movement, which is walking, running, throwing. Those are the priorities. So I started realizing that there was a lot of things that I was missing. There was a huge amount of things that I was missing. And most of them were to do with the fact that I had caused, over the years, I'd caused my nervous system to be super stressed out by all the stretching and strength training that I'd done. And I'd put myself into a situation where it was just stressed out. My whole body was stressed out with those physical things that I was doing, but it was also stressed out mentally. And my nervous system and my brain was very stressed out, just with life, with my own self being the perfectionist that I am, or that I was. I still am a little bit, of course, but I'm a lot more chilled out now than I ever was, for obvious reasons. I get to do beach walk vlogs, that's one of the reasons. But I'm a different person now because I've seen how that stress manifests and how it becomes a part of you. I've worked on myself. I've changed everything I've done. I'm still strong because of all the training that I do, because of all the workouts that I do, but they're now balanced workouts. They're not focusing on stiffening my body up. They're not focusing on lifting things above my head or bench pressing, squatting, deadlifting. They're focused on movements. They're focused on movements where I'm pushing and pulling, I'm using the levers in my body,
Everything I do is standing up. All the exercises I do are standing up. They're all using lever-based torque. Everything in your body requires lever-based torque, or produces lever-based torque. Every movement that you make produces lever-based torque. It's impossible not to, and it's all rotational. Everything you do, the way your joints move, is rotational. And when I put that, the kinesiology of the joints, together with the fascia and the fascial planes and the anatomy trains that I learned, everything made sense. And I stopped stretching, I stopped doing all of the arbitrary lifting that I was doing to get stronger. I stopped stiffening my body using planks and exercises that stiffened my torso, and exercises that made my pelvis and my thoracic spine and my ribs stick together and do the same movement at the same time. So for example, a deadlift or a squat, my pelvis and my ribs are kind of having to stick together. Well, it's not how we move in real life. It's not how we move when we're walking, running, throwing. And I changed all of that. Now tell you a little bit about my sporting background, which I think I might have talked about before, but I'm going to say a few little things here. I was a decent basketball player. I was a good gymnast. I was a good runner. I was a good cyclist. I was a pretty diabolically crap swimmer, but I worked on it and I got okay. I was a decent triathlete, but the whole time, during everything I did, I was in pain. I was just in pain all the time. And, it gets to a point with that pain where you just go, you know what, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? Am I really getting anywhere? And for me, the answer really was no. I wasn't getting anywhere. No, it wasn't worth it. And I was a decent runner, putting in some good times, sub 36 minute 10k, sub 120 half marathon, but always in pain. And as a triathlete, as a cyclist, putting in the sub 1 hour 40k time trial, doing that time with a 36 minute 10k off the bike. I was a decent triathlete, always in pain. And then one day I couldn't deal with it anymore. Got fed up of taking painkillers and just decided I'm going to change everything. And that's where I am now. And I tried everything, so I know what you are dealing with, because I've been there, I've been in pain, and it really does take somebody who's in pain to know what you're dealing with and to know what you're going through. So I want to give you that other option. I want to give you something that you haven't tried, because as I say to a lot of people, you haven't tried everything. Because if you're still stretching and you're still doing traditional strength training, then the first thing you need to do in order to make a change is stop doing those things, because that in itself is making a change. And that's what I did. I decided, nope, my life is not the way I want it. I'm in pain, taking painkillers. I need to change. So I did. I changed. And I stopped doing those things. I stopped doing all the things I was told to do that were going to fix me that weren't. And I started doing something different. Doing something different immediately gets you a different result. So if you are stuck in that injury cycle and you say, oh, I'm doing everything, I've tried everything, well, the next words out of your mouth And the next thoughts that are in your head should be, okay, now I know I haven't tried everything. So the next port of call is to try the new thing, the different thing, because that would be the logical, smart approach to making the change that you need to change and getting to the next step. And that's my little story from when I came to the point where I had the show-stopping injury. I couldn't run more than half a mile, in fact couldn't run a quarter of a mile without crazy intense pain and everything cramping. And I mean literally my quads, my hamstrings and my calves at the same time would all cramp and I could barely walk. So yeah, there's my little short story, and I hope that kind of gives you some thoughts of how you're going to make your change and get the results that you want to get. And my results are speaking for themselves along with lots of other people's results. It can be done. And if I told you that what I do now, I don't do squats, I don't do lunges, I don't do deadlifts, I don't do planks, I focus on the movement, and I don't ever stretch. I never ever stretch, because it's super damaging to the fascia, super damaging to that fascial tissue that you want to be able to do its job. So if you make one change, stop stretching, stop forcing those tissues to places that they don't want to go. It's not going to work. It's not going to be the thing that fixes you, because there is no range of motion that creates pain-free movement. It's not about range of motion. It's not about strength, arbitrary strength. It's about balance within your tissues, within your body, within your joints. And that starts with posture. Starts with how you load your body, how you load your tissues from that posture. And once we get that all into place, it's the time moving in and out of that posture, and not spending time in postures that are putting you into pain and damaging your tissues and creating loads that are not manageable. And that's what's going to help you. Myofascial release is a massive part of that, and then consistency and commitment. And there we go, switching off. Have a great day. Bye bye.